Afternoon, magical people. Well, it is afternoon here. It's about 1:30 here on the Eastern time zone. We're not East Coast, but we're the East time zone. So I am getting ready to take my munchkin up to Grammy's. They are going to spend the weekend up there, and I was doing some journaling before we go, and I found out some really, really cool stuff about this upcoming full moon, and, the week or two in front of it and behind it. So I thought I'd just go ahead and ramble about this. I'm sorry it is going to be really rambly. I'm kind of using this as a rough draft because I'm going to make a more in-depth version that I put on on my YouTube, but this is me just kind of getting it all out there so I can process it, because this is a powerful full moon that we're going into. So let's just dive right in. I got a lot of information. So this is the full moon in Pisces that we are going into. Pisces is just very spiritual, very artsy, very sensitive. Because it is a full moon, that means it's an opposition. Hey, Juliet! It means it's an opposition. Whenever we have a full moon, it's opposite of the sun, and a new moon on the zodiac wheel. And then the new moon is always in the same sign as the zodiac sun. Because they're in opposition, our sun is in Virgo and our full moon in Pisces. Virgo is very detail-oriented, very practical, very of service. And so our sun sign is in that energy right now. It's like, it's wanting us to, it's like pushing you, driving you to have that practical, thoughtful, of service type of energy about you. Because it's opposite of the full moon, and the moon represents our emotions, and the full moon is in Pisces, there seems like there's going to be a little opposition between us wanting to be practical and us wanting to be dreamy. And that this is really a good time. Every full moon is a good time to sit and reflect. Full moons are about completion. You don't want to start new things on a full moon. It's really just about completion, reflection. That's why everyone always says, people get crazy on full moons. It's really true. Like even planting the Farmer's Almanac, I use that and I plant by the moon. And they always say the new moon is where you plant seeds, and don't do it on the full moon because moisture is increased on the full moon. The moon affects the tides, right? And so that can do things like give us increased water pressure, can cause heart problems, blood problems, make your brain do crazy things. So full moons are about reflection. With this current phase, again, I would think now would be a really good time to think about how we can be spiritual and dreamy in correlation to the practical of service version of Virgo. Now, to get into kind of the deeper stuff, that's just the very easy full moon and sun read on that. I guess I'll do this too before I go into I'm going to go into all the planets and where they're at right now. But that being said, if you just want to take that little nugget of information away, I think that this is a really, really good time to journal, especially when we get into all the other planets in a minute. To journal, because also Virgo are very good writers. They're very, again, analytical. They like to process and to be heard very at face value for their words. That's what they want. So now would be a really good time to journal, to really dive in deep to what makes you feel spiritual, but how that can be used in a practical sense when it comes to society and especially community, because we'll get into that here in a little bit. Cool things that are happening with the planets. One of the coolest things that I was researching and found is we are going to have, on the full moon, Mars in Gemini. And Mars usually stays in a sign for a couple weeks to a couple months. I think it's a couple months. But for Mars and Gemini, we are going to be staying there for 7 months. And the last time Mars in Gemini for 7 months, or it wasn't 7 months, but longer than its average period, happened was in 1990. And I think that's really cool because Mars and Gemini, Mars is all about I don't want to say aggression. Sorry, my hubby writing me. Okay. Mars is about aggression, like physical exertion. It's a sexual kind of energy. And being in Gemini, the sign of communication, of intellect, is a very interesting dynamic. And like I said, the last time it happened in 1990 is when the Berlin Wall fell. The Baltic states left the Soviet Union. The Human Genome Project started, which is really cool because Gemini, out of all the signs, is considered the human sign. So I just think that's really interesting that that started. And Nelson Mandela was freed from prison. And it kind of makes sense because, again, when you think about the communication, but also like the aggression part of Mars in Gemini, it is a really, really good time for liberation, for kind of new ideas that will really transform the human experience. And last time it happened in 1990 was pretty spot on. Where are we going with that? I'm totally rambling. Thank you. I'm going to go back and watch this and actually do a transcript for the YouTube video I'm going to make. So this just helps me ramble it all out. And because Mars is actually in its shadow period on the 10th, when it will be in its shadow period, that means it's getting ready to go into a retrograde after that. I believe it starts retrograde at the end of October. I'm not sure. But in its shadow period, each planet has a light and a shadow period. The shadow period, I would really think to see more of the aggression side of it, which aggression doesn't always have to be bad. You know, you can be assertive. I would try to take time to think during this full moon on ways maybe that you speak with someone, because again, it's about communication, and how you can change aggression into assertive. Or laying down, maybe if it's the opposite, maybe if you lack any type of boundary setting, that this would be a good time for you to journal. Don't have these conversations on a full moon. Please don't. It's not going to end up good. But journal about what could I do to either help me lay boundaries more assertively or more calmly if maybe I'm a little bit too boisterous when I get upset. That is also, Mars is going to be square with Venus. And Mars and Venus are considered cosmic lovers. Even though, because again, Mars does have aggression and physical, but it is a very sexual energy as well. And Venus is like the love, sensuality. That's why they're considered the cosmic lovers. So right now, if you have a partner, you may be finding some tension, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Even though it may seem like it's bad, it can actually stir the pot in a way that could be working for you and your partner, or a way to rekindle conversations or to rekindle physical connection. So that's pretty cool that the two cosmic lovers will be squared. Let's see what else. Oh, okay. So Mercury will be in retrograde on the 10th. It will start off in Mercury in Libra and then go into Virgo, and it goes for like a month, so it's going to be here for a while. If Mercury is a sign ruler, so if you're a Gemini or a Virgo, you are really going to feel this retrograde a lot more than other signs. Mercury, because again, it is about intellect. It also talks about trade and commerce quite a bit on the full moon and leading up to the full moon. So I would probably say, what are we on now? Yeah, in the next like 3 or 4 days, maybe take your time and what you trade, what you buy, finances, especially being in Libra. Libra is, again, all about balance. So I would really just, kind of take your time. Your judgment may be feeling off during the retrograde, so take time before reacting or buying things right now, I would suggest. Now, the nerdy things that I'm going to get into, which are just really cool. Well, I already thought the last time Mars was in Gemini for an extended period was in 1990, and everything that happened. It's really cool. If you want to go down a rabbit hole, Google it. It's awesome. But other things that are going on right now is we have a T-square. A T-square means that there's a lot of opposition between these planets and comets and everything that's up in the sky. So with the T-square, we have it in Cryon, Mercury, with the midhaven as the negotiator planet. So I'll break that down a little bit. Because again, there is opposition between, for this particular T-square, it will be Cryon and Mercury. Cryon is your wounded healer. It's actually the mythology around Sagittarius? The ram. Cryon it's actually really cool. But it's believed in astrology to represent the wounded healer and you. Things that hurt you that you are here in this cosmic lifetime to heal. So we're having a square with your wounded healer and your Mercury, which again is like your intellect, your trade, your commerce, travel even. And midhaven is the negotiator planet. It's the one in the middle where kind of the energies are bouncing back and forth. And this one's coming down, your midhaven, which is your career and your ambition. Trying to negotiate that energy right now. With everything else that we're going to get into, I literally got like goosebumps thinking about like all the stars right now are saying that it is time for you to make a internal dialogue of change that you want to do to heal yourself, heal your community, heal your family. Again, don't start them on the full moon, but journal and really dive deep into that reflection on it. Retrograde. So the only one that's going to start on the full moon is the Mercury, but we have a lot of planets that are in retrograde right now that are going to continue to be for a few months. And those are Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, your North Node, and your Cryon. Mercury, again, we already talked about your intellect, your trade. Jupiter is going to be in Aries, and in retrograde in Aries, Jupiter can be very rash. So it's, again, a really good time to just slow down for a minute. Aries being the ram, like it wants to go, it wants to put this fire, this energy into it. In retrograde, it's really a good time for us to maybe reflect on either how it's benefited us or harmed us. Things maybe you could be more rash on, or things that like me personally, my example is I am so impulsive, and I know I am. And sometimes, especially my partner, he does not like to make decisions. It takes him a long time. So sometimes it's really helpful that I can be a quick thinker. Other times, though, it's not been helpful, and I'm grateful for him to have slowed down the decision making. Saturn is in retrograde in Aquarius, and that is all about karmic reflection. Saturn is, about like blockages, and being in Aquarius. Aquarius is a very humanitarian sign. So I think it would be a really good time again to just think about your karma, think about what you're putting out and what's coming back to you. Uranus being in retrograde is really cool. It's all about like, be a rebel. There's no boundaries here. You have this uniqueness to you that is willing to break through this karmic rash energy, especially when we get to the yod here in a little bit. Hopefully this is making sense. If not, just thank you for letting me ramble. But Neptune is all about illusion and delusion. And it is in Pisces in retrograde right now. Again, Pisces being that spiritual, dreamy person with Neptune, and again, in correlation with the sun in Virgo, I think it's a really, really good time to sit down and evaluate why we think we do, why we think the way we do spiritually, the way that interacts with the practical world, the outside world, the sun. Pluto, we're almost done with the retrograde. Pluto is in retrograde in Capricorn. And Pluto is about like shadow, kind of the deeper, darker parts of ourselves, but also transformation. Being in Capricorn's rooted in like tradition. They're very traditional, very, very here, very, I'm trying to think of the word here. Analytical, methodical, something like that. Pluto being in retrograde, again, I think everything the stars are saying right now is that it is time to really reflect on our spirituality, generational change that can bring. Last two, North Node and retrograde. Your North Node is all about discomfort for growth. It is things that are going to probably keep popping up in your life until you learn the cosmic lesson and hopefully move forward from it. So North Node in, again, retrograde is just the time to think about it. It's a retrograde. We're probably going to be revisiting old ideas a lot around all these different areas in our life, maybe thinking about how we could change different habits. And then the last one, Cryon. Your Cryon is, again, the wounded healer. In retrograde, I really feel like it's time for you to reflect on how to heal yourself, to really get into how do I fill my cup to fill those around me. If that's what you want to do, if you just want to fill your cup to fill your cup, boo, you do it and you enjoy it. You don't have to do it of service, but because we are in Virgo, very of service, sun, I think might be a good time to, dive into that. My last two things I'm going to bring up, thank you for, again, letting me ramble, is on this full moon, we have I think it's called a yod, which is a pretty rare aspect that happens in the sky. It's really rare. It's like the rarest. You don't even really hear it talked about that much. And it's labeled the finger of God or the finger of fate. But when I was looking into it more, it's about generational. Thank you, Elena. I'm trying to ramble this because I'm going to go back and watch it and take better notes. These are my notes, guys. Like, I don't know if you can see it. They are just, I write like a hot mess. So I'm going to go back and rewatch this, take better notes, and then I'm going to make a YouTube video about it. So thank you. I'm just kind of like downloading all this stuff. But it's so amazing. When you look back in history of special events like this yod we're getting ready to talk about, it was crazy how many famous people have it. How many people, like I think Princess Diana had it. People, because the yod, let me finish, the finger of fate, is all about generational patterns and karmic value. So people that have that in their birth chart, it's a very powerful, like you are here for a reason, to be known, to break patterns. And so many people throughout history have it in their charts. We will be experiencing it on the full moon. So I think it's just a good time to, again, think about generational patterns. Think about things that we want to break, things that we want to go to move forward. The yod will consist of the sun in Virgo, the Cryon in Aries, and Saturn in Aquarius. Again, sun in Virgo being detailed of service. Cryon in Aries is very much headstrong, initiative, the wounded healer, like wanting to fix it, like going for it. And Aquarius being the innovative humanitarian, excuse me, humanitarian. All of these I really do think would just be it would be a great night just to sit down and free write just 15 minutes of, oh, Elena, it was so crazy how much more I was like, who else? Oh, let me see if I can find that on my computer real quick, because it was amazing to see how many people had yods in their chart throughout history that have like changed history. Well, I'll look it up and I'll send you some links because I literally went down a rabbit hole. Okay, yeah, but then I'm sorry. I'm so rambly today. So Virgo being detailed of service, Aries being headstrong, Aquarius being innovative. And Virgo is a feminine energy. Aries is a masculine energy, and Aquarius is a masculine energy. So for this yod, the masculine energy wants to have initiative. It wants to do things, even if it causes a little bit of an uproar or a disturbance, where the feminine energy kind of wants to nurture and cradle and just So I really feel like this is a powerful time. Like something in your body and your soul and your spirit could really benefit from using the stars right now to dive deep into any generational trauma that you have, anything that you want to change. Again, just for future generations, I think this is a great time to tap into that energy. And then the last one that we'll talk about real quick is the cradle that's going to happen. It's the last of the major aspects that I looked into. These are the ones that particularly called out to me. There's still a lot more major and minor aspects happening that day, but the cradle I thought was really interesting. A cradle is very much kind of like how it sounds, cradling, nurturing energy. These energies are kind of swaying back and forth with each other, and they're working together really well. So with the cradle, we have Sun in Virgo, Neptune in Pisces, Uranus in Taurus. Yeah, that was hard to say. Midheaven in Cancer, Moon in Pisces, and the North Node in Taurus. So to break that down, the Sun in Virgo is, again, a devoted type of energy. Neptune in Pisces is about compassion. Sorry, I keep getting all these messages. My goodness. Compassion, but then Neptune is kind of, again, about delusion and illusion. So kind of double checking what's working for us and what's not. Uranus and Taurus. Taurus is all about earthly comfort, while Uranus is your uniqueness. So, and Taurus is also about groundedness. I think it would be a good time. I think these energies are working good for you to find your uniqueness and your comfort. Again, midheaven is in Cancer, and Cancer is a very nurturing sign. It's very motherly. It's considered like the mother sign. Moon in Pisces is, again, we've been talking about it, very artsy, very dreamy, very sensitive, very sensitive. My hubby is a Pisces, and my younger sister is a Pisces, and they are very sensitive. They feel deeply. They feel good deeply, and they feel bad deeply. And then the North Node being in Taurus, and Taurus, again, is sensual. North Node being discomfort for growth is being in Taurus. I really think, again, and how we talked about the cosmic lovers, Mars being squared with Venus, there might be some, like, tension, which, again, tension doesn't always mean bad. It could mean a spark. You know, sometimes when you rub rocks together, that tension creates a spark. Between you, seems like it would be an intimate lover at this point, because there is so much Mars and Venus energy in this, and your North Node being in Taurus. But if you're not with a sexual partner, maybe it's just your own sexual, like, empowerment. How do you feel about your own sex drive? How do you feel about your chakras, and do they align and make you feel grounded and rooted? So, after all that rambling, I'm going to summarize real quick. This is a beautiful, beautiful time. I really do think it's going to be a very spiritual moon. I think it's a great time to do any kind of ritual that is about reflection. So, you know, again, take a bath, do some mantras, do some breath work, journal. Please don't start the conversations now. You don't want to, I promise you. Just take time to really reflect on it and breathe through them and figure out where you want to go spiritually as we move forward. And yeah, okay. That's, I guess, all I have to say. I'm going to go back and watch this and see if it made any sense. But I'll post some links down in the bottom when I can about different resources I use to look up the history behind this. And also, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, no, I found this really, really cool site that you can get a really good detailed reading, but you can also go to, like, any day. Like, you can get a detailed birth chart reading, or you can go to any day of the week, even in the future, and look up the reading. So that's what I used for my chart in this, all on the Placidius astrology chart. But I'll link all that down below, and I'll put my YouTube down there if you want to check it out. So I hope everyone has a beautiful day. This mama's getting ready to enjoy Like I said, I'm bringing kiddo up to Grammy's to enjoy birthday celebration for the weekend. So we're just going to hang out here tonight. And we get the little 2-year-old tomorrow. Almost 3. Oh my goodness. She'll be 3 in just a couple months. We get her tomorrow for the night. So I'm going to spend time with family. And maybe during the day tomorrow, I have time for reading. So, all right. Let me know if you have any questions. Also, I said it yesterday, but still, if you want me to do a chart interpretation, I would love to do it. I'm diving deep into this stuff. So, yeah, if you want to send me birth date, birth time, birthplace, I can give you my interpretation of it because I think that'd be pretty interesting. So, all right, guys, have a good day.